You would be a fool to sleep on AFUL Explorer review. Alright, bad pun aside, these are currently one of my favorite IEMs at around $100. And just to get things out of the way, these are not the most technical or, resolving at around its price point. Value-wise, you're not going to beat the A500LM, the Super Mix 4, the Novas, or the planars like the T10s, for example. The resolution and detail retrieval, it's fine. I say it's average for the price, but the tuning is more unique than a lot of the other stuff out there. At mid-volume, these are a very comforting listen, smooth, non-fatiguing, and it's a set, you would use if you want to focus on something else, or if you just want to, sit back and relax. Now, the vocals are definitely, a bit pushed back at mid-volume. It's not very forward. You're not going to hear, a lot of the vocal details. They're kind of soft because they did scoop out the upper mids. There is a roll-off past 15K. It's not going to be very airy. It's not very sparkly. Not, super detailed in general. And it's more of a dark set at mid-volume, which is, why I wouldn't really recommend it at mid-volume unless you really like darker sets. But where the Explorer shines is when you crank these up. Basically, these have incredible scaling, super immersive, and just very smooth even at higher volumes. The vocals also sound, more forward because they are louder now. You hear it better, you hear the details better, and they sound, a lot more natural and not too pushed back and just gone, right? It also never gets fatiguing or sharp because of the less gain at around 3K. The low end is also surprisingly good. I was A/Bing these with the DaVinci's, and the Explorer has faster decay and a bit tighter when it comes to the mid bass and the separation between the mids and the sub bass. It doesn't slam as hard as the DaVinci's. The note weight, the impact, and the overall thickness and fullness is still more satisfying. It's better on the DaVinci's, but the low end is, just feels a little bit tighter. The DaVinci's would still be the better set when it comes to the overall engagement. It's funner, it's a little bit more energetic in both the bass and the upper mids. And if we're talking about just overall resolution and detail, the DaVinci's are obviously still a step above the Explorer. At mid-volume, the DaVinci's are just straight up better. They're more complete, they're better extended, and they're better balanced while having that thick, sumpy mid bass. But if you're willing to crank it up, then I would actually prefer the Explorer over the DaVinci's. Because in my opinion, the Explorer is just more unique. It's a lot more immersive. Once you crank it up, the staging feels bigger than the DaVinci's. It kind of wraps around your head more. It makes you forget what you're doing, and it feels like you're just swimming in the music. Compared to the S08, the Explorer has more sub-bass presence. It's fuller sounding. The bass notes go deeper, and it just, scales better. But it does feel softer in the attack. It's less resolving, and it's less detailed when it comes to the upper mids and the treble. But once you crank up the Explorer, it has the same amount of mid bass as the S08, even though the S08 grabs a little bit more. But it's not as tight and well controlled as the S08, even though it does, it grabs a little more. You expect the S08 to be a little bit boomier or warmer, but in reality, the S08 feels cleaner and just better control. This is mostly because it's planar versus DD. The planars are just faster in the attack and in the decay, where the bass on the Explorer lingers longer. It's deeper, you feel the rumble a bit more, especially when the sub bass is boosted a bit more, and you're gonna get better impact and note weight with the Explorer. I like to think of it this way: the Destrinko's, my unit at least, is the heaviest in the slam, whereas the S08 is the lightest impact wise, but they do feel the fastest and the tightest. And then the Explorer is somewhere in between the Destrinko's and the S08 with a good balance of both speed and the slam. Overall, the S08 feels a little bit cleaner, faster in the low end, and it feels a little more energetic and a little bit more brighter in the upper mids and treble. So depending on what preference you're looking for, the S08 is better at mid-volume. It's just more energetic, whereas the Explorer is more a laid-back kind of set where you just crank it all the way up. Now versus the Chino, the Chinos are basically a cleaner version of the Explorer. They focus more on the vocals and the treble. They have more detail and resolution, a little bit more airy, as well as having sharper imaging, but they do have a little bit of BA timbre. Sub-bass wise, the Chino can also be lacking to some people, just not enough sub-bass, maybe it's not deep enough, a little bit thin to some people, whereas the Explorer low end, hits a lot harder, it's deeper, and even though it's not as detailed, they are smoother and fuller sounding and quote-unquote more musical. Stage-wise, the Chinos are more pushed back. It feels more open, but it's not as immersive as the Explorer, although you do get more air and nuance to the cymbals and the vocals. Vocals do pop out like a bit more on the chinos. They are a little bit more detailed, whereas the Explorer overall is, is bassier, closer, and much smoother. So it really depends. If you want a clean, neutral, and slightly airy sound that works at mid to higher volumes, but it still scales decently well without hurting your ears, then go for the chinos. Those will be better when it comes to classical instruments, indie, singer-songwriter, and they have replaced the Hexa for me as like a neutral clean set. On the other hand, if you're looking for something bassier, more intimate, scales better, then the Explorer would be the better pick. It's better for hip-hop, rock, R&B, lo-fi, stuff like that. So take a chance, explore a bit, because both the Chino and Explorer are good side grades, and they're good alternatives to the Harman sound from like the Nova and the Supermix 4. They give you a different flavor to the music without destroying your wallet too much. Now, compared to some other sets like the CKLVX and the Magic One, the CKLVX is a little bit fuller in the low end compared to the Explorer. It also has more air. The stage is more pushed back. It's not as intimate, and it works better at mid volume, as well as being a little more detailed and a little bit more resolving. The listening experience is fairly different on both of them because the Explorer excels at high volume. It's more immersive, it's more intimate, whereas the CKLVX is kind of like the opposite. It's more of a mid-volume set. It's airier in the vocals and the trebles, and it's like more dreamlike. The Magic One, on the other hand, is a lot warmer than the Explorer, with the vocals popping out a little bit more, but also being huskier because of the extra mid bass. It is a mid-volume set. It's not really a high-volume set. Like, it scales okay, but it's not as immersive as the Explorer. The Magic One is actually the warmest out of all the sets that I talked about today, but the sub bass isn't as pronounced as the Explorer. It's not rolled off, but it does get overtaken by the mid bass because it is very, mid bass centric. The Magic One isn't very good for like hip hop, J-pop, or EDM because it is very mid bass centric. So better for drums, stuff with drums like rock, jazz, and stuff like that. But all in all, the Explorer is either going to be a hit or miss with many people. If you don't like listening very loud, or you don't have like a lot of like rock, hip-hop, R&B stuff, then probably pass on these unless you just want to try things out, then go for it. But for the rest of you who are on the fence right now, explore a bit. I keep using the same joke, but explore a bit. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this review. I got a crap ton of IEMs that just came in, probably like 15 to 20, so a lot of stuff on the way. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Shout out to Jeff Young, Rorax Cat, Dom Q, Star Buccaneers, This Call Scaldist, B Urak, Mystic Spoon Attack, Oh Really, Walker Standard, User, Ernest, Contain Guava Juice Gains, Patrick, Belcel Kel, Rosar the Kelf, Paulie J, Mr. Gorillas, Antoristo, Gis Seng Young, Tamat Pa Frache, Ed Dunlap, Christopher Jackson, Name, Henry Claudia, Son of a Horse, 777ZK, Asher, and Ben Thompson. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see everyone in the next one.